Hi, my name is Terrence Baker. I'm a family physician, board certified in family medicine and emergency medicine from Baltimore, Maryland. Today we're going to talk about children and how they are being affected by the coronavirus epidemic. Questions that children have about coronavirus need to be addressed. And today we're going to spend a little time talking about possible questions that they're asking and answers that they should receive. Millions of children are home from school, daycare, and they understand that something terrible is happening in their families, in their communities, their schools, and in the nation in general. Many younger children struggle to understand what is going on and why it's going on. Suddenly, the life that the child has with the family, their school, their other children at school, in the community, their grandparents has suddenly been turned upside down. And so parents are often demonstrating their own anxiety. Mothers and fathers are concerned about their own health, the health of their children, the health of their parents, their aunts, their uncles, their brothers, their sisters, co-workers, all who are being affected by the coronavirus pandemic. So parents are often quite anxious, and in their anxiety sometimes forget that the children need to have some answers so that they can understand as best they can what is happening. The most important step that any parent can take is to control their own anxiety. Before you talk to the children, you want to get your own anxiety under control. You want to understand that the United States of America, our state, local, federal government, are working 24/7 to find answers to keep all of us safe. In the meantime, each one of us can take many safety measures to prevent the coronavirus particle from getting into your lungs, because the only way that it can harm you as a parent or your child or any of your friends, families, or loved ones is for the viral particle to manage to get into your lungs. And so please follow all the social distancing, hand washing, and all the other measures that are being talked about regularly in the news. Whatever their age, children will have questions right now. Questions about what is social distancing and why should they do it? What is hand washing all about? Why all of a sudden is a child being asked to wash their hands many more times than usual? Questions about what happens if someone the child knows gets sick. So the following are several questions that are coming into our practice on a regular basis. The first question that many children are asking is, will I get sick, and what will happen if I do? Children need to be reassured that, number one, their chances of getting sick is small if appropriate measures of hand washing, social distancing, and other safety measures of coronavirus are followed. Children need to understand that in general, they will remain healthy if they continue to stay isolated in the family home, do social distancing, wash their hands when they've been out grocery shopping or out in the community for any reason, doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, other purposes. When they come home, they need to take off their clothes, they need to put them in the washer, they need to take a shower and wash themselves, just like adults. Next, children need to be assured that if they do get sick, that most likely it will be just like getting a cold. They'll have some sneezing, they may have a little temperature, they may have a little body ache, they may have a little sore throat, they may do some coughing, but they understand that for most children it's going to be a minor illness like a cold. And so remind them of the last time they had a cold. And for children that are in daycare and school, that probably won't be very long ago. So they should have some memory of what it was like the last time. Next, they need to know that if it gets more serious, that doctors will help to get them well and will provide them with treatment necessary to make them well again. So that's the information that children need to know about. If I get sick, what will happen and what will I do. Next, they need to understand about hand washing. A lot of questions we get in our practice have to do is, why do I have to wash my hands so much? And what you need to do is to teach them about germs, which are tiny little, and the example I use is to take a little sugar and sprinkle on their hands, or take a little salt shaker and shake on their hands, and pretend that the salt, grains of salt, or the grains of sugar are germs. And so then we go over to the sink, and what do? We wash our hands in water with soap, and what happens with the grains of salt and the grains of sand, or the grains of sugar? What happens is they all wash away. And so what you do is you teach the children that by washing away the germs, which is the grains of sand and salt and sugar, that they are washing away the germs that can make them sick. Most children understand the idea of washing the sand away, and it can even become a little game where you keep a salt shaker around and you put a little salt on their hands, and then they go and wash them, and that can become sort of a game between the parent and the child. Next question that's coming to our practice is, when can I go back to school? And certainly that answer is unclear. The pandemic is still ongoing here in the United States of America and in Africa, and there is no signs that the end is in sight. And so the pandemic continues, and health and public officials are working around the clock to find the cure, that is the treatment protocol that will bring this disease process to an end. So we really don't have a good answer for that, but what will happen is homeschooling, e-schooling, classes taught on the internet by teachers at school to students at home are all ways in which children are able to keep up. And in fact, many students are actually learning at a faster rate at home than they might have even learned in the classroom, because they're not distracted by other activities. And so we see a lot of the children actually reading more arithmetic, more online studies, more online investigations, and we see e-learning is becoming a very fantastic way for children to take their lessons each day. Next question that comes to our practice is, why can't I visit my friends or grandparents? And that's a great question. And what they need to know, again, for the very young children, you can use the salt shaker as an example, which is you can put a little salt on them, and then you can put a little salt on you as a parent, and you can say, sometimes grandma has germs on her that she doesn't want to have on you. And sometimes you have germs, the salt, on you that we don't want to get on grandma. And so we have to keep our distances. And by keeping our distances and by washing our hands and our bodies more than usual, we can wash off the germs, and we can keep everyone safe. Next is, if my parents are at home, why do they have to work? Why can't they play with me? This is a question we hear from our children in our practice all the time. And it's true that many workers are currently working from home, and many of those workers have children. And the way that I explain it is that, mommy is doing her work just like the child is doing her schoolwork or his schoolwork from home. And so the child's doing their schoolwork, the mother is doing her work from the office. And then what we do is we recommend having a timer. And so everybody works for 30, 40 minutes, and then we have a little break, 15, 20-minute break, where the mother and the child or the father and the child can spend some time together. So a timer is one way to say, okay, for the next 20 or 30 minutes, we're going to work. Then we'll have a little break, get a little snack, and we'll play for a little while. And then Daddy's going to go back to work again. And so you set up a schedule of working and playing, and that helps the children to understand. And usually doesn't take very long for the child to, to figure out what's happening. The next question that children often ask is, I'm not sick, so why do I have to take precautions? Daddy, I just don't understand. I'm not sick, why do I have to wash my hands so much? Why do I have to wash the salt off? Why do I have to keep my social distancing? Why? And the reason being is this particularly affects teenagers and young adults. What we're seeing is that the children above the age of 10 they may feel a certain invincibility. That is, they feel that they're, Superman or Superwoman. They feel that, that no illness can be that serious for them. And so they feel invincible. They feel like they're Superman, Superwoman, or one of the Fantastic Four, those type of storybook creatures that we all know about, those type of heroes. There's so many reports in TV and the newspapers that children are less likely to be ill, and children often will hear this on the nightly news, that children have less illness. So the children will feel like, well, Mommy, why can't I go over to just one person's house? And just, she's not sick, why can't I go over to one person? Why can't I go to gym? We'll all keep our distance. We're going to play basketball or something. We'll keep our distance, Mommy, I promise. And so what needs to happen is, again, you need to explain the seriousness of the coronavirus, the need for washing of your hands, keeping social distancing, washing the clothes. And for right now, they can communicate as often as possible through the internet, through digital means, through virtual means, through Skype and other modalities. I think Google has a new meeting app that you can participate in meeting with friends and families and neighbors. So there's a growing number of applications on digital computers, hand phones, smartphones, laptops, where you can communicate with others almost as if you're in person. Also, it's important for the older children to understand that they need to participate in what we call flattening of the curve. Your teenagers are old enough to understand that by not allowing the virus particle to continue to infect us, we can stop this invasion. We can stop the war that's going on against us by this virus particle. We can stop that war, but only if we stay away from the particle. If we stay away from the particle for 2 to 4 weeks, the curve will be flattened, and this outbreak, this pandemic, will begin to end. And we've seen that in China, and we've seen it in other places. Next is, children often ask, and especially the older children and teenagers, how can I help? And so you can, in fact, ask the older children to help out. Help to spend time with the younger children. Help others in the community, other peers in the community, to understand the importance of isolation and staying away from each other. Also, have the children, do some nice things for grandparents and aunts and uncles and sisters and brothers. Do some projects, do some paintings, do some reading, write a book, write a story, go online, go to Google Meeting, go to Skype. Lots of different ways that the older children can help out by supporting and encouraging other members of the family. So, in summary, the coronavirus provides challenges for all families. However, it provides opportunities for the parents to bond with the children and develop relationships with the children like they've never had before. This should be and can be a special time between parents and children to solidify a bond that will last forever. Last for forever, the family's lifetime, basically. The children will always remember the coronavirus pandemic. They will always remember the way in which the parents responded. They will always remember the special time that mother and father, grandparents spent with them in person and virtual. And so this is a great opportunity for parents to develop a tremendous relationship with their children. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to watch out for NABN TV Health Talk Show. Doctors in a House is a very exciting healthcare and wellness program designed to bring you different specialist doctors to discuss various medical issues in our communities. The program is very informative and very exciting, very educational. We'll teach you about many medical conditions that you've heard about but don't know the details. Please subscribe to NABN TV on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also learn more about our other programs we broadcast by subscribing to NABN TV. Thank you. This is Terrence L. Baker coming to you from the studios of NABN TV.
NABN, New Africa Broadcasting Network.